Welcome to Practically. Hello students. I would like to wait. Yeah, let us start a session. Today we are going to learn a few interesting things regarding the geography of our country, and let us have a look of Indian drainage system and the climate of India. In today's class, we are going to learn about what is drainage and what are its patterns and how it helps us for the mankind, and we'll learn in detail about the climate of India. Let us have a look. Yes, here is an image. Please look at this image. What did you understand by this image? It's a river which is draining a land. Okay, it's the blue colored lines you can see on the screen, that is, they are being called as the rivers or the lakes which are been marked in blue color. Okay, so here what do you mean by the word drainage? The word drainage means the land which is drained by a water. It might be a river, it might be a stream, or it might be a lake, or different types of water bodies. Okay, so land which is drained is called to be as drainage. So today's we begin with the session with the drainage patterns. Okay, so I think you have understood what is drainage. Drainage is not that we study in the political areas. Okay, drainage means a place which is drained by a river or its tributaries. Okay, yeah, let us have a look. Before going for the rivers and different regions, we learn about parts of a river. See, river, even yesterday's class we have went on with landform features, landform parts. Let us today we learn about what are the parts of river. River even have different parts. Okay, let us have a look. It's a river which starts, we call it as an origin, and we even call it as a source of a river. Where the river begins its journey, we call it as a source or a origin. Okay, so the source of the river starts from the higher lands, or from a lake, or from a mountain, or from a glacier, or different types of sources. Okay, so at the origin we call it in the geographical terms either an origin, or we may call it as a source of a river, the beginning or the birthplace of a river. When the river moves forward, it's have different paths over there. Okay, when it begins, it like a stream, like a small stream, and when it was joined by other small paths or the small streams, we call it as a tributaries, which are joining a small stream joining the larger river. It's called as a tributary. And these, when the two parts, when two streams are meeting this place, this point of place, we call it as confluence. The word confluence is nothing but it's a sangam, where the two river bodies join at the place. It's called confluence, or in Telugu or in Hindi terms, it's called Prayag. Okay, Prayag, where different major river bodies meet in place. Okay, next, when its course goes on, and we find sometimes due to the excess water coming from the upper lands, it may fluctuate its directions. Okay, in such cases, it has been termed as small parts which are been separated by the main streams. So we call it as leaves and all. And these leaves lead for oxbow lakes also. We discuss about oxbow lakes in the further courses. Okay, so and when the river going to be end, it forms when the river, every course of a river, it starts from a journey. It starts its journey from origin to ends at, it has to merge with either a small or big, either a sea or an ocean at the end. Okay, so the ending point, we call it as a mouth of a river. Okay, where the river merge with an ocean or a sea, we call it as mouth of a river. And here, when the river is been ending, going to be end its course, the journey of a river is called as course. Okay, so in the course of its journey, at the end of the mouth, sometimes some of the rivers forms a triangular landforms. While they are ending its journey, they forms a triangular landforms. We call them as a deltas. These lands, we call it as deltas. Triangular landforms which are formed by the distribution of river, we call them as distributaries, that whatever the water is distributed among different areas, and these triangular landforms, we call them as delta. Some of the rivers do not form deltas. They directly join with sea. They directly join with the sea or an ocean. So such type of cases, we call them as estuaries. Okay, so these are the terms we need to be put in our mind, that what were the different terms were used in the course of a river, and this way we may also call it as a parts of river. Right. So let us have another slide before going further. Yes, you can see the course of a river here in detail. See, the river has three main courses. The upper course, this is an upper course, middle course, and this is lower course. Okay, so we find three courses. Okay, so upper course, where the river origin and it flows with high velocity. The speed of a river in the upper courses, the velocity will be more. The speed of the river will be more as they are flowing in the higher lands. So when there comes for the gentle slopy areas in the middle courses, we can find it there speed of the river may get reduces. Whereas in the lower courses, as we have discussed, that like deltas and estuaries are formed in these areas. And there are other most important things. You can see a headwater shifting from flowing down the mountain slopes, and sometimes it may cut deeper areas, and it forms completely different types of erosion take place. The river carries different types of silt, like pebbles, and like alluvial, as we have discussed yesterday in previous class, that is V-shaped valleys were created by the rivers in the course of upper journey. Okay, and even waterfalls were been also created. When you see some of the rivers in the peninsular plateau, they have created waterfalls in their courses, and when their rocks were been cut and the river passes through those landforms, such areas at a higher altitude to lower altitude, they are falling, and we call them as a waterfalls. So all this occurs in the upper courses. Where coming for the lower elevations, the stream merge with the gentle slopes, and sometimes even at these areas also we find valleys were been created. And In the lower course, a most important thing, that is meanders were created. Meanders means due to the excess flow from the out coming from the upper courses, the meanders are being formed. Meanders are nothing but like this type of. The journey of the river will be curvature form. So this curvaturing form of a structure, we call them as meanders. Okay, in the course of journey, when the river flows excess water during the rainy seasons and all, these flowing will be get disturbed, and with the excess water over flooding, what happens, this lake will cuts off and the water may travel in other directions and flow like this also. So in such cases, this sea or arc like structures, like these structures, they are being called as oxbow lakes. Oxbow lakes. These are mostly formed in the lower as well as in the middle courses. We find meanders mostly occurs. Okay, and coming for, see, in the lower elevations, lowest elevations, that means meanders were formed. You may get a question, where do the meanders formed? Either in the upper, middle or the lower. You need to answer it for middle and the lower courses. That means do not go for the answer middle, do not go for the lower. You need to select the answer which is middle as well as lower. Okay, so both the areas we find meanders are being formed. So you need to very much attention while attempting such type of questions. And coming at the mouth of the river, as we have discussed, the flow of the river will increases, and it may form different channels, and these channels were called to be as deltas. Yes, and they extend finally they reach to the sea or an ocean, or some of the rivers and their journey with the joining with the bigger larger rivers. I hope you are able to follow me. Yes. Let us see here. This is the shapes of meanders. You can find the meanders over here. Meanders are mostly formed in the lower and middle courses. And most important point to be noted, that Ganga and Indus, Brahmaputra are the major rivers. We find the meanders mostly. Point to be noted. Next, coming for important term, that is water divide. What is this water divide? It's water is not dividing over an area. It's a land here. You need to be noted here. It's not water, it's a land which dividing the land. That means uplifting land. This uplifting land is dividing the two basins, two river basins. So because of this uplifted land, what happens, the rivers are getting divided here. The water is dividing. This side water is been traveling to these areas, and this side water journey will be towards this side. Okay, that means east side and the west side. So we call that the land divide. Okay, such type of land divide we find in India, that is Ambala. Please note it, this name Ambala was one of the land which is been placing example of water divide. Example of water divide, Ambala, which is between Indus River and Ganga. Okay, so Satluj and Ganga. So we find this. Right. Now, please answer to the question. This question. Yes. Yeah. Which is the world's largest drainage basin? Which is the world's largest drainage basin? I think I can see. Yes? Can I get answers from you all? Hi, Monisha. Can you answer this question? Yes, Lakshmana Prabhu. Can you answer this question? Yeah, good evening, Mayur. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, just can you guess this answer? World's largest drainage basin? Here is your answer. You can see here the world's largest drainage basin is the Amazon River. Amazon River is, as you all well known, that is Amazon has a very largest rainforest region, and we can see over in this image the Amazon basin. This is an Amazon basin. You can find it. It's creating a much. You can see in this image very detailedly how the Amazon basin and Amazon River and its tributaries over in this image. And let us know about our country, which is the largest Indian drainage basin. Can I get an answer from you all? Yes? India's largest drainage basin is Ganges, that is Ganga River. The Ganga was one of the most important river of India, and we pray it as we consider it as spiritually very important river. You can find in detail. We learn in the further slides. Let us have a look over here. It's created. See, you can see how much this from here to here. This region, that's completely, we find that it's Ganga River drainage. Ganga's drainage basin. Basin is nothing but a land which is drained by a river and its tributaries. Yes, just answer for this. Which of the following drainage pattern does the Ganga River forms? Yes. Can anyone tell? Yes. Can I get answer for this? Which drainage pattern? What is this pattern? Which type of pattern the Ganges River? You can find in this image with the help of this image. Which type of drainage pattern does Ganga River exist? Yeah, here is an answer that it's a dendritic structure. What are these patterns? Let us have a detail. What are these patterns? See, dendritic pattern. Dendritic pattern. Yes, dendritic pattern is nothing but, you have learned in your science classes, that is neuron cell has a dendrites. Yes? Yes. Isn't or not? It has a dendrites. Yes. Yes. I hope you may have an idea about the neuron cell. Okay, it has a dendritic structure. So as the rivers are forming like dendritic means joining by different branches like this, we call it as a dendritic structure. So especially Ganga River was having different streams, different branches were joining with the main river, so that it's forming like a structure of dendritic. So we call it as a dendritic structure. Okay, so it develops a channels in the lower slopey areas and all. Okay, so we called it as a dendritic structure. Dendritic structure was formed in the Ganga River pattern. This is a first type of pattern. So mostly the drainage patterns were of 4 types. Okay, there were of 4 types. The first pattern is Dendrite Pattern, and the second one, let us go for the second one. Yeah, Trellis Pattern. Here in the Trellis Pattern, the rivers, in this image you can see, the rivers were joining, the small river. When the river joined with the small rivers, we call it as a tributaries, or we can also call it as streams, like a small stream joining the larger river. Okay, so when the tributaries joining at the right angle, okay, at the right angle, we find Trellis pattern is developed. Okay, so that is, you can find it in this image, how these rivers are joining at the right angle. Okay, exactly like this, either like this, you can see this image. So this is a Trellis pattern, the second type of drainage. Coming for the fourth one, rectangular pattern. The rectangular pattern of drainage is being developed at a strongly where there are rocks and all. Okay, when there is a rock, when the river flows its journey, and when there are rocks in such type of places, they were being strongly cuts even the rock-like structure. The river has even capacity to cut or push the rocky structures even. Okay, so in the course of rivers, we find this type of pattern is developed where there is rocky terrains. Okay, where there is rocky type of terrains are existing. So in such type of landforms, we find a rectangular drainage pattern is developed. Okay, so that is the third category or third type of drainage pattern. And coming for radical. Radical is nothing but when the rivers are being at the hilly areas, either a mountain or the higher lands, at these areas, when the rivers are flowing down to these different branches, like, so this type of pattern, we call it as radical type of pattern of drainage. Okay, so we can see different directions, the rivers are flowing in the different directions. Such type of drainage pattern is called to be as radical pattern. This is the fourth category of drainage patterns. Yes. Now let's have one question here. Which river is known as the sorrow of West Bengal? Which river is known as? Can I get answer? Yes. Which? Monisha, can you answer this question? Yes. Which river? Can you guess? Just try. Which river is called to be as the sorrow of West Bengal? Just you analyze that in West Bengal, which of this river flows? Your answer is Damodar River. Damodar River is called to be as sorrow of West Bengal. It has, with this river, West Bengal has become more precious over that, and it has deleted all that worries of water scarcities and all. Okay, so you can have a. Now let us go now for the rivers, types of rivers. Now see, in India we find different types of rivers. Okay, on basically 2 categories the rivers are being divided. Okay, the first category is the rivers were divided on 2 categories basically. Okay, one is on what basis the rivers were being divided on, based on their origin. origin and based on their geographical structure. Okay, geographical structures, these rivers were been divided. The first one is the Himalayan rivers, which have their source from Himalayas. We call them as a Himalayan rivers. And the other one is peninsular rivers, the rivers which are in South India, which are existing in the peninsular region. We call them as a peninsular river system. So let us go in detail. What are these Himalayan rivers? See, definitely a question comes on based on rivers. Okay, in as though maybe the first level of NTSE or in the second level of NTSE, definitely a question comes from drainage patterns or the river system. Okay, so you need to know which river, where it has origin and throughout its course, how much its length and all these details you need to know. Please note it down, the points. Okay, coming for Himalayan rivers, you can find the Himalayan rivers here. Okay, let us go in detail. Yeah, the first Himalayan rivers are of three. First one is Indus and its tributaries. I have told you what are tributaries. That is, its parts are small rivers which are in this the small streams which are joining the larger one. That means Indus and its branches, you can say. Okay, the second one, Ganga, and third one, Brahmaputra. So in detail we go in our class today. Okay, so these are the three Himalayan river system. Okay, in the Himalayan rivers, first one, let us have a look over Sutlej River. Sutlej River begins at Manasarovar Lake. Manasarovar Lake, it's a very beautiful place to visit, Manasarovar Lake, and here it has begin from Manasarovar Lake. The Indus starts its journey and it enters into the Ladakh district. In the Ladakh district, it enters into its China, Tibet areas. Manasarovar Lake comes. Okay, it enters at Ladakh region in India, that is in Jammu and Kashmir, and it further moves its journey. Okay, so at these places, it's in the Jammu and Kashmir regions, it has joined with the small streams like Shine, Haunza and Nubra, like small streams, small rivers, small tributaries join with Indus in Kashmir, and it flows further in the Kashmir. And you need to be note this point, that Indus flows very little part of in India, and most of its journey was in Pakistan. Okay, so Indus, you can see, okay, here you can see. Yes, where it is meant to be. Here you can see Indus moves its journey from Jammu and Kashmir Yes, I think it's not working. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. It is Indus moves from Jammu and Kashmir to Pakistan, and it flows in Balochistan. Okay, it flows in Balochistan and Gilgit regions and Yet and Tok. Attock was the mountains. Attock was a mountainous region, mountainous ranges in Pakistan, and from that ranges it merges into further lands, and at Mithankot, this is a place called Mithankot. You notice point this Mithankot. Where do Mithankot rivers Mithankot is a place where these rivers which are flowing like Satluj, Chenab, Jhelum, Bias, these are all the rivers which are flowing in Punjab will join with Indus. There's all are joining with Indus at a place called Mithankot. Okay, this place you need to be noted down. Mithankot in Pakistan, where this all the five major tributaries of river Indus are joining at Mithankot, and finally it's ending its journey in Arabian Sea. It was merging with sea, Arabian Sea. Okay, so it completely, if you take Indus River's journey is 2,900 kilometers, and it's if you take it as an important river in India, that means it, as its journey was very less in India, we do not consider it has a largest river in India. We will be calling the Ganges as the longest river in India, as its course was existing in the country. Okay, so this is the first important river in India, that is Indus. Let us have a look the second stream, that is Ganges. Okay, Ganges has, or we will be having at few places, Ganges and Ganga even. Okay, so Ganga starts its journey, its origin place. We do not call from the origin, we do not call Ganga River. We call this as a main. I'll show you. The river, two streams in their courses forms into river Ganga. Okay, I'll show you here. In this image, you cannot find here. This is one from one glacier, and this is from one glacier. That is the stream. This stream is called Alakananda, and this stream is called Bhagirathi. And these streams origin from Gangotri Glacier, And Alakananda is origined from Satopath Glacier. Okay, from Satopath Glacier, this Alakananda stream is flowing down, and from Gangotri Glacier, Bhagirathi stream was flowing. Alakananda, before forming as a Ganga, it was joined with many more small streams also, and we call them, as I have told in the previous slide, confluences. Confluences means prayagas. That means 5 small streams were joined by Alakananda, and finally it joins with Bhagirathi, and we at a place called Devaprayaga. As per your textbooks, you need to be noted this point, that is at Devaprayaga, where the Ganga journey starts, as it's called as Gomukh even. Okay, it's where Ganga was confluences. Ganga River forms. Okay, and we say it's Bhagirathi and Alakananda. 2 streams are joined together to form river Ganga. Okay, so it starts journey like that. Okay, in Uttarakhand, like this. You can see Ganga River flowing down. Okay, so that one more important point to be noted here. What are these Alakananda 5 prayagas even? That is one Vishnu Prayaga, Kabir Prayaga, and different confluences have took place before these forming as a river Ganga. Okay, so now let us have a look into river Ganga. See, this is the river Ganga, origin from 2 glaciers, and 2 streams formed into river Ganga, and in Uttarakhand it's flowing down to the Himalayas regions, and finally it is enters into northern plains. Okay, it enters into northern plains at Haridwar. Haridwar is a place where Ganga enters, merges from the Himalayan regions to the other landform, that is northern plains. That's Ganga. Okay, Ganga merges from northern plains to Himalayas to northern plains at a place called Haridwar. 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 At Haridwar, we can find that Ganga enters into northern plains, and at the same time, one of its tributary river called Yamuna, origin from Yamunotri, and Yamunotri Glacier. Okay, from Yamunotri Glacier, and it moves its journey parallel to Ganga. You may get a question that which one of the tributary flows parallel to Ganga, or you may get which is the largest tributary of river Ganga. Okay, that answer is nothing but Yamuna, which is flowing parallel, and it is also a largest tributary of river Ganga. And Yamuna joins with Ganga at a place called, the place name is, we call it as Prayaga in Allahabad. Prayaga at Allahabad, where we call it as Sangamam. Okay, and where every 12 years Kumbh Mela holds over this place, that is called Prayaga, and Triveni Sangamam. We call it also as a Triveni Sangamam. That means 3, where the land where 3 rivers are being joined. Okay, where are the 3 rivers? You may get a question that what is the other 3rd river which is confluences at this place. Okay, so that third river is Saraswati. There was a saying as per the mythology that Saraswati was one of the river internally within the landforms. There was a saying that a river Saraswati also merged at this Prayaga, so we call it as a Sangamam. Okay, so that was the place importance at, and that place exists in UP, that is at Allahabad. The Prayaga was existing in the at the city, that Allahabad. Let us have a look, coming for the detail. Now see, this is about Yamuna and Ganga, and there are many other rivers even joining Ganga, like Gomati, Ganga, Gandak, Kosi. Kosi is one of the important river. It overfloods every time from Nepal, okay, and it floods excessively and moves forward towards the Ganga and joins with Ganga. And there are also next we go for the next slide. I'll tell you. 1 minute. Yes, coming as all these streams join with Ganga, it moves into West Bengal. And one more important thing, in the Ganga there are two types of flows. That means from north, this is north direction, this is south. Yes, okay, rivers are flowing from north to south and joining with river Ganga. Yes, and there are few rivers flowing from south to north also. You can find it over here, which are going and joining with river Ganga. So these, that means north to south flowing rivers and south to north flowing tributaries. You may get a question that north to south flowing tributaries or south to north flowing tributaries. Be clear with the question that what they mean to ask. That north to south flowing tributaries means Ganges, Gomati, Ganga, Gandak, Kosi. And whereas coming for south to north flowing tributaries, you may get like Chambal, Betwa, Son and all. Okay, so these are the rivers which are flowing. And one more interesting thing you need to be noted over here, why these north flowing rivers are flowing up direction, as usually they are in the peninsula. Okay, that Chambal, Betwa, this is UP and Rajasthan regions. You can see here Madhya Pradesh, as it is existing in the plateau. In the previous class, we have studied in the physical features that Madhya Pradesh comes under physical peninsular plateau. Okay, why these rivers are flowing towards the north direction means the plateau region is slightly bend, slightly slope. Okay, it has a slope towards the north direction. So these rivers are flowing towards the north and they are merging with river Ganga. Okay, so that let's have a here. Now the Ganga has two category of tributaries. North to south flowing tributaries means Ganges. You may get a question that which is not, or which is north to south flowing tributary, which is which among the following, like that, which among the following is north to south flowing tributaries. You may get north to south flowing in the sense like Ganges, Gomati, Ganga, Gandak, Kosi. Or if the question is south to north flowing tributaries, that means Betwa, Chambal, Son and Ken also comes. Okay, so these are the tributaries. As it's moving its journey, Ganga, main branch of Ganga, main stream of Ganga enters into Bangladesh. Okay, main branch enters into Bangladesh. In Bangladesh, the river Ganga is called with the name Padma. Okay, here it's called Padma and down it flows with India, in West Bengal as a Hooghly and different other streams we can find. And Padma river, that means which is called in Bangladesh Padma. So this flows in Bangladesh, and by end of its journey it forms more number of deltas. In the world, the largest delta is nothing but Ganges is a largest delta. Okay, it's is very important to be noted that which river forms the largest delta is nothing but Ganges, and it is called, that deltas were called as Sundarban deltas. Then please note it, this name Sundarban. Sundarban deltas. Why it's called Sundarban delta means there were in these deltas there are most important trees called Sundari trees. So due to that existing of Sundari trees in these delta regions, we called it as a Sundarban delta, and it is very famous for Bengal tigers. Okay, note this point. And one more important point to be noted here, Padma will be joined with the Brahmaputra river even in the Bangladesh and forms a huge delta. Okay, let us go for the other Himalayan river. Next, third one, 2. We have completed the two parts of the Himalayan rivers. Let us have a look for the third one. Let us have a question here. Children, please answer to this question. On reaching the Namcha Barwa. Namcha Barwa, in previous class, I told you Namcha Barwa is one of the mountain peak in the Himalayas. Okay, it takes a U-turn. Okay, on reaching Namcha Barwa, a river takes a U-turn in India, U-turn, and enters into India at Arunachal Pradesh through a gorge. Identify the river from the following. Which of the river is taking a U-turn and entering into India at Namcha Barwa? You may get a question also, which river is taking a U-turn at Namcha Barwa, or what is the peak the river taking, that is Brahmaputra, where Brahmaputra is taking a U-turn at Namcha Barwa. Okay, you may get a question in that form even, that is Brahmaputra river takes a U-turn at a peak, due to the peak called as, that's nothing but Namcha Barwa was a peak. Due to this peak existing, that Brahmaputra has to flows to Tibet, China only. But due to this peak, that is Namcha Barwa, due to that existing of that peak, it has taken a pin bend. Pin bend means nothing but taken a U-turn because of existing of this peak here. Okay, due to the existing of this peak, it was unable to move further and it taken a pin bend and further entered into Arunachal Pradesh. And let us look how this. Yeah, Brahmaputra river is known as Jamuna in nothing but Bangladesh. Here, Bangladesh. Okay, let us see now about journey of Brahmaputra, the course of Brahmaputra river. Let us have a look. Brahmaputra river here. See, it starts from, I already told you that Indus starts from Manasarovar Lake. Okay, and the same way from the Manasarovar Lake. See, from Manasarovar Lake, Indus flows to the western direction, whereas Brahmaputra flows towards eastern direction. Okay, it has flowed towards east side. So, in Tibet and China, it's called as Sangpo. Sangpo river. It's called to be as Sangpo. After entering into India, we call it as Brahmaputra. Okay, so note this point. In Tibet, it was called with the name Sangpo. The Sangpo river flows in China and Tibet due to the existing of Namcha Barwa. It entered into India in Arunachal Pradesh. As soon as it enters in the Arunachal Pradesh, this river is not called to be as In Arunachal Pradesh, it is called as Siang. Here are several valleys, students. Please note it down. Several valleys existing over here. Okay, valleys in the Siang Valley. As soon as it Diang and Siang valleys. Okay, as soon as enter in Arunachal Pradesh in Diang valleys, that river was called in a name of Diang in Arunachal Pradesh, and when it enters into Siang valleys, it was called as Siang, and as it entered into Assam, okay, it was called after. The river is called as Brahmaputra. After it enters into Assam region, we call it as Brahmaputra. Before entering, as it entered into Bangladesh, it was joined with the two small tributaries. Can anyone answer me? What are the tributaries of river Brahmaputra? Yes? Can I know? What are the two tributaries of Brahmaputra? Can anyone answer me? Yes? Yes? No? I could get any answer? Okay, I'll tell you. Dibhang. This is Diang and this is Dibhang. Dibhang and Lohit. Dibhang and Lohit are the two tributaries which are joined with Brahmaputra, and it's moved in Assam. And one of the important thing you need to be noted here, that Brahmaputra flows over flooded every year. Why? Because due to in the climate topic, I'll even tell you, excess rains occurs in the eastern states due to in the monsoon period. So every year Brahmaputra overfloods. Okay, and due to that overfloods, Brahmaputra river forms different types of landforms. Due to the excess of water, what happens? Brigades are being formed. I'll show you the image. Even number of river was forming like this. Oh, bunch of streams are being formed like that. Okay, so they are called as braids. Braids pattern. Okay, braids were formed and we call them as a riverine lands. These lands were called as riverine lands or riverine islands even. Okay, so these are mostly seen in the part of Assam region, and Brahmaputra enter into Bangladesh and it joins with, see, you can see Brahmaputra enters into Bangladesh and joins with the Ganga stream, that is, which is called Padma. Okay, when both of them, as soon as the Brahmaputra enter here, it's called with the name Jamuna. When Ganga, after here it's called Ganga in India, and Brahmaputra also, in India we call Brahmaputra. After entering into Bangladesh, it's called Jamuna. And this is Ganga stream is called Padma. After both of them have joined, it's called Meghna. Please note these points. Okay, so after confluence, we call it as Meghna. So, and these Ganga and Brahmaputra forms delta over here at the end of this course. Okay, so that's by end of this Brahmaputra pattern. You can find here Sundarban delta in this next image. Yes, you can see river channels over here. Braids which are been formed in the this is about this image about Brahmaputra. Because of excess of water, we can find there is riverine lands. These are called riverine lands. Okay, Manjuli was one of the biggest riverine land formed in the Ganga, and in these riverine lands, see children, in the image it's very small, but whereas if you see the landforms, they are very larger ones, and most of this cultivation also will be done in these landforms. Manjuli was the biggest riverine land, and this is an estuary. I just told you, some of the rivers directly join with sea. You can see how the river was joined with the directly into the sea. So this type of category is called estuaries. Yeah. Which amongst, let's have a question here, children. Which among the following river or rivers flows through the rift valleys? Can you answer this question? Yes? Anyone? Yeah. Which among the following river or rivers flows through a rift valley? As in the previous class, I told you the rift valleys. Rift is nothing but fault or a break which occurred in a landform. Due to the movements in the internal structure of the earth structure cuts into breaks, or it may leads into a crack-like structures. Okay, we call them as faults. And in these faults, we call, if they are very deeper and all, we call them as a rift. So in the rift that breaks, rift type of valleys, in that rift type of valley, few rivers are flowing. In the previous class, even we have discussed which is the river flowing in the rift valleys. Can you tell the answer? River or rivers from these options: Narmada, Tungabhadra, Krishna and Tapi or Tapti. The answer is, you can see 1 and 4, that Narmada and Tapti are the two rivers which are flowing in the rift valleys, Okay. Yes. Now see. Our next category is peninsular rivers. Peninsular rivers are of two types: east flowing and west flowing. So in India, if you take South India, some of the rivers are flowing towards this direction and few rivers are flowing to this direction even. So west flowing this side, rivers which are flowing to this side are east flowing. Okay, so let us have in detail about west to east flowing rivers. First we go with west to west flowing rivers. Okay, west flowing rivers are only two, children. You need to be noted down. That is, one is Narmada, other one is Tapi. Narmada and Tapi were the rivers which are flowing west and joining with the Arabian Sea. Okay, so Narmada is a river which is, both of them were joining in the Arabian Sea. Let us have its details. Narmada is a river which is flowing in the central highlands in Madhya Pradesh, and we call it's a place called Amarkantak. Okay, in the Amarkantak hills, please note it down, Amarkantak. It's a very beautiful place to visit, Amarkantak, where this origin of river Narmada and its flows in the rift valleys, and in this, especially in the Gujarat, we see one of a dam, Narmada dam on Narmada river, that is Sardar Sarovar Dam, which is world famous also. And there is a program of like Narmada Namami Narmada Devi program to protect or conserve the rivers. Okay, river Narmada especially, as it is been flowing in the forest regions. Many of the tribals, their livelihood was depend on the river Narmada. Okay, so that's why conservation of river Narmada, that's you can see. And by end of its journey, it forms very beautiful structures like gorges and all. And the most famous one is Dudh Fall, which is very famous, Dudh Sagar fall, we can find which is formed by river Narmada, and finally it's merged with Arabian Sea. And there are few small streams even joined with Narmada that are not much important point of examination. And next, Tapti. Tapti also flows parallel to the Narmada, and its origin in Satpura ranges. Its origin in Satpura ranges, and its flows parallel to Narmada River, and even this river flows in the Rift valleys, and they are not forming any deltas. Which are the rivers which are not forming the deltas? Are nothing but they are Narmada and Tapi were the rivers which are not forming a deltas. Okay, so we see there the ending points were called estuaries. Where do we find estuaries in India? Which rivers are forming estuaries, or where estuaries existence means they are nothing but that is Narmada and Tapi are the where joining with the Arabian Sea, that's called estuaries. And let's have a look to east to west flowing rivers. Okay, so especially east flowing rivers, most important first comes with let's begin with Mahanadi. Okay, Mahanadi River flows, you can see here, Mahanadi is a river which is flowing, yes, it rises in the higher lands, yes, it rises in the higher lands and moves forwards in the Orissa, and you can find here Hirakud Dam was constructed over this Mahanadi River, which is the world famous dam, and further it's forming a deltas even, and finally joined with Bay of Bengal. Okay, and next comes Godavari. Godavari, its origin at Nasik Trayambakam. You are well known about Maharashtra. In Maharashtra, Nasik was a famous place. It's called Trayambakam, okay, where the origin of river Godavari, and it starts its journey and moves forward, and many of the tributaries, Penaganga, Vaiganga, Pranahita, and different types of streams join with the river Godavari, and finally it's joined with, it forms delta, and it's also called as Dakshin Ganga. Dakshina is nothing but South Ganga. Okay, it's Godavari was the largest river in South India, largest river in the peninsular rivers, and it's called as Dakshina Ganga as it is existing in the South India. Dakshina is nothing but south. Okay, so it's forming a deltas, and finally at Narsapur it's merged with its joins with the Bay of Bengal. Okay, and coming with the next one is Krishna. Krishna also we can find here. Krishna River starts from hills. Okay, it's Mahabaleshwar, not Mahabaleshwaram. It's Mahabaleshwar. It's a very good place to visit. Mahabaleshwar is a hill station even. Okay, here in these hills at Mahabaleshwar, it begins its journey and starts moving forward in Karnataka. It's joined with Tungabhadra even. Tungabhadra is one of the tributary of river Krishna. Okay, and its joins, and in between AP and Telangana, we find a dams, Nagarjuna Sagar Dam on the Krishna River, and its forms even in Devi Sima districts. It was distributed into different streams and finally merge with the Bay of Bengal. Okay, so this is about the course of river Krishna. And coming with the next, Kaveri, important river Kaveri. Kaveri origins from Brahma Kaveri or Thala Kaveri hills, and it's further moves, and it is one of the rice bowl of Tamil Nadu, and it's further moves and forms deltas in the Tamil Nadu state. Okay, finally joins with Bay of Bengal. So this is about South Indian rivers. Okay, 2 there and here 4. So completely 6 peninsular rivers are the most important peninsular rivers. Coming with the distance also, you need to be most of the river distances, that is Godavari 1600, Krishna 1400 kilometers, and Mahanadi 760, Kaveri 860. Okay, so these were the kilometers of the South Indian rivers. Yeah, you can see over here this Narmada and Tapti, Godavari, Mahanadi, Krishna, Kaveri in this. This is the first one. Yes. This is Mahanadi. This is Kaverika. You can see Kaveri river flowing, Vettur Dam and Kaveri Delta over here. And you can see Mahanadi River, Hirakud Dam here. And you can see the merging place. And this is Godavarika. This is Godavari. This is Krishnaka. You can see the Krishna's tributaries, Krishna Basin, Lower Krishna, Upper Krishna, Bhadra River. Okay, these are the tributaries of River Krishna. Yeah. Comes for, let us have a look, Volar Lake. Volar Lake. Have you heard this name? Volar Lake? Can anyone answer me? Yes, Volar Lake. Where do you find Volar Lake? Can I know where Volar Lake is formed? Yes? No? Volar Lake in Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir. It's one of the most important lake in India, a freshwater lake and largest lake even. Okay, Volar Lake is created as a result of, see, lakes are been created with some erosions or some cut-off lakes like, okay, but how this Volar Lake has been created? Let us get me answer from you all. That is, it's a creation of idle power dam, or it's an oxbow lake formed by the river Jhelum, or it's a glacier activity or a tectonic activity. Can you answer this question? Which type of, due to which result the Volar Lake has been formed? Please, it's a very important question. Can I have an answer for you all? From you all? Yes? Yes? Adit? You want? Yes? Yes? Answer me. Volar Lake? Volar Lake. Where? Yeah? Yes. The answer is tectonic activity. Tectonic activity is nothing but due to the plates in the mantle layers. Okay. That is in the inner structure of the earth, that is due to the plates movement. Okay, when one plate is colliding with one another, so plates movement is of 3 types. One, some of the plates will move together, convergent. Some of the plates moves together. In such cases what happens, one plate moves to the other one. Okay, this is called convergent type of movement, whereas some plates moves backward. So in that courses, it's called divergent. Okay, so due to this place movement, what happens? There may occur some faults and cracks. Due to this also, if it is on landforms, we find like earthquake occurs, landslides occurs. Okay, different types of natural disasters occurs. If it is a water bodies, we can see that like a case of like tsunami due to this plates movement. Okay, so due to this tectonic plates movement, the Ular Lake is been created. Okay, so please note it down. This coming with, yeah, here are the lakes, few of the lakes you can find it over here. Yes, see, rivers are been sometimes, seas are sometimes flows into the landforms, so they are been called as lagoons. Lagoons, especially we find lagoons in the Kerala. Kerala is most famous, the boat rides and all we find on the lagoons only, cut off lakes that which are been, water is moving back. Okay, sea water, backwaters, we call commonly backwaters. The backwater we call lagoons over here. Okay, and you can see here, see the bays are formed like this. You can see the lagoon here when the river is flowing back. Okay, see when the islands forms like this. So one of the example here, Chilka Lake. Chilka Lake in Orissa, which is a very famous and mostly very famous for birds and all. Next, let us come to the topic climate. Yes, come in, let's have a look about climate. Can you tell me what are the two words? What is the difference between the word climate and the weather? Yes, can anyone answer me? What is the difference between the word weather and climate? Yes? Any answer? Someone? Manoj Kumar, your question is Sort of West Bengal. Yeah, Damodar. Yes. Yes. Difference between climate and weather. Climate is a place which exists for a long period of time. It exists for a long period of time. How? Suppose if you take Hyderabad. In Hyderabad, what is the climate? If anyone question you, what do you say? It's hot and humid. Your answer will be that our climate, Hyderabad climate is hot and humid. The climate in the sense it doesn't change. It has an average atmospheric condition. Okay, nothing but it's atmospheric condition of a place of an average period. How do they calculate? Means they take it of an average, that is 30 years of average they take and consider of a place climate. Okay, so climate is a word describes, we need to use the climate word where if you are considering it's a long period of time, whereas the word weather, we say that today's weather was very calm, very pleasant, it's sunny, it's hot, like that. That means constantly changes, a short span. Okay, so the word weather is used at a place where we consider of a short span of time, we need to use the word weather. So that's the difference between the word weather and climate. Let us have in detail about what is this climate, how it is influencing our lifestyle. Let us have a detail. Let's go first the elements of climate. So there are different types of elements. How the climate goes on changes with different parts. We can find here, first most important is atmospheric pressure. The air have a pressure. In our surroundings, we find different types of air pressure. Okay, due to that air pressure, the climatic where climate goes on changes. Any particular place, that first element we see, we consider atmospheric pressure, and clouds also will change place climate also. What of a particular place depends on clouds also, the weather may changes. And winds are also one of the element. See, what are this, why we are calling elements? See, I'll tell you a small example why what elements, even climate has an element. Yes, it has. If you take example water, if you take in the chemistry language, that means water has two elements, that is H2O. Am I right? I think so. H2O, hydrogen and oxygen, two elements, means both togetherly forming into water. Like that, what this only atmosphere we cannot consider for climate, only clouds we cannot consider for a climate, only humidity we not consider. We look after all this together in considering a place climate. A particular place climate has to be calculated, means all these elements are important. Okay, so this first one is atmospheric pressure, cloud, humidity, temperature, precipitation. Precipitation is nothing but the form of condensed water which reaching to the earth's surface in different forms, silt, fog, snow, rain, or different hail and all. Okay, so these elements, temperature, you all know that. Most of the place, when you are considering a place climate, in these graphs, we consider in graphs, most of the climate will be calculated or shown or represented with graphs. Those graphs were called as climatic graphs or climatographs. Okay, so graphs which are representing climate are called to be as climatographs or climatic graphs. Okay, so they are being majorly two things are shown in that graphs. One, please note it down, this one is temperature and other one is rainfall. Climatographs represent with two features, one is temperature, other one is rainfall, that is precipitation, nothing but. Let us have in detail climate. Here is a question for you, why hills are cooler in summer? Can I have an answer from you all? Why hills are cooler during summers? Even in the winter even, but why they are even in the hot seasons, they are very cool. Why? The answer is, as we go upper surfaces, as we go towards the upper areas, upper atmospheric areas or higher altitude, the temperature will decreases. Why? Because the atmospheric molecules, the atmospheric pressure will become denser and it will reduce the temperature. It will reduce the temperature. So, due to the atmospheric pressure more, the temperature will be cool down. As we move to the higher latitudes, elevated areas, hilly areas are cooler when comparing with the other regions, whereas Amritsar and Shimla both are in same places, same latitude they were existing, but Amritsar in summer it will be hot, whereas Shimla will be cool. Why so? Means because of altitude. Let us know what is this altitude. They are nothing but climatic controllers which are controlling or which are influencing the climate of a place. So those are called as factors affecting the climate or factors which are influencing the climate. Okay, so they are all also called in short term, that is climatic controllers. So let us have in detail. Most important is latitude. As in previous class I told you, depend on the sun rays received by the earth surface, on which are receiving direct rays are hotter when comparing to the places which are near to the poles. As it's coming to the poles, the rays of sun rays will be long distance. They travel to the long distance. In such courses, what happens? These sun rays will be reduced. If you put a torch on a surface, what happens? At the center areas, it receives more lighting. As it's gradually epicenter, it moves from the epicenter areas, what happens? The lighting will be reduced. In the same way, the places which are far from, and you can also see here, if the places are like this, these are very closer. If you take which are farther, so the sun rays has to reach to this place, means the sun rays will reduces. Atmosphere will absorb, clouds will absorb, different features will absorb the sun rays, and in that courses, what happens? They may not reach to these places. That's why poles are cooler when comparing with the other parts of the places. As the latitude increases, as the latitude increasing, why, how they are increasing? This is 0, this is 23, this is 66, and this is 90. That means latitude number is increasing. As the latitude increase, temperature decreases. Please note this point, that is, as the latitude increase, temperature will decreases. Okay, so that means latitude is influencing the climate. It was the first factor influencing the climate. Second one is altitude. I just told you about altitude, that means elevation. That's nothing but altitude. Depends on the higher altitude. As we move to the higher altitude, the temperature will be decreasing. Okay. And relief, type of landforms also influences the climate. Okay, depends on the type of landform. Due to the landform features also, suppose we are on the mountainous region, if we are in the plateau, or if you are in the desert, depend on that relief also, the temperature will be differ. Why? Because geographical factors. Okay, so the next one's distance from the sea. In the previous next slides, I'll show you. See, this is the first one, how this direction, the latitudes influencing the climate. Okay, then this is about altitude. And one more thing, in the altitude, even when you are moving from this regions, higher regions in the western, if you take example of a Western Ghats, what happens? These clouds get cooler at these denser areas where the atmospheric pressure is more. So these clouds get condensed here, and the rains occurs at these places, and the empty clouds reaches these places and they may not receive rains. So this side is called as rain shadow region, and we call it as leeward side of the region. Okay, especially in the Western Ghats, monsoons arrives, so the leeward side of especially like Maharashtra and some of the regions in the Western Ghats, they are the leeward side, as the empty clouds reaches these places and they do not receive rains at all. Okay, next. Next, third one is the climatic controller. You may have a look over distance from the sea. Depend on the distance from the sea also, climate get influences. Why? Because during this daytime, sea will produce cool breezes. Why? Because land get heat fast, but whereas water, to get heat up, it takes time. Okay, so land will absorb slowly the heat and gets cooled down slowly. Okay, so one of the feature, whereas water heat ups fast and cool downs fast even. Okay, so day completely it takes slowly, it gets warm up and it's breeze cool breezes daytime. By night time it breezes warm. Okay, so what happens? Daytime land will breezes warm, and nighttime land will breezes cool. Due to this movement of cool and warm breezes interchanges, what happens? There will be a moderate type of climate. Okay, not hot, not cool. That's why the seashores or the beaches are normal temperatures we find here, not hot, not cool. Okay, there will be a moderate type of climate. So please be noted this point. Distance from the sea also influences the climate. distance from the sea. The places which are near to the sea, like Chennai and all, Vishakhapatnam and all, Vizag, all these places, they are not very hot, not very cool, hot and humid type of climate. It will be, we find in these areas. Next comes ocean currents. Ocean currents are also important point to be noted. Due to the ocean movements also, the atmospheric changes occurs, and in detail you people need not to go on for NTSE. Only you need to find that ocean currents are also one of the factor for influencing the climate. Yes? Yes. And come for the pressure belts. Pressure belts are also one of the important factor. See, on the whole globe, there are different types of winds are flowing. Winds are basically three types. Okay, if I'm not going to tell you in detail, for your NTSE, not much needed. I'll give you a slight importance in these areas. Okay, so there are basically three types of winds. One is trade winds, westerlies, easterlies. These are the three types of winds. They are called as prevailing winds. Prevailing winds, local winds, and seasonal winds. Actually, winds are three types. In the prevailing winds, these are the three. That is, first one is trade winds, westerlies, and easterlies. Okay, these are the prevailing winds. Prevailing winds blows throughout the year. Okay, they are not local or they are not seasonal winds. They are blows throughout the year. So constantly they flows. So overall the globe they flows. So they are called as global winds even. So these prevailing winds, due to this movement of these prevailing winds also, the monsoons are been occurring. Okay, especially in India, due to this winds also, we may experience monsoons. Okay, so that's why we consider this pressure belts also important for the influencing of a climate of any place on the globe. These are influencing the climate of that place. Even if you take France and India, major examples, that they are mostly influenced by this climate. See, one more important thing, low pressure, due atmospheric pressure, due to this winds, what is happening, low pressure and high pressure has been created, especially near the equatorial regions, where is hot regions, low pressure is created due to the excess heat received by the water bodies, especially seas. Okay, so what they do means they carries the breezes, pressure of the air to the landforms. Okay, so from high pressure to low pressure areas, like this you can see the pressure is created over these areas. So due to the pressure creates, what happens, clouds are being formed and different type of activities, climatical changes take place. Yes, the other one important thing is jet streams. Jet streams, a slight information, you need to be mostly know about jet streams are of two types. Okay, there are these are one type of jet streams, and these are at the tropics. These are at the tropics. Tropics jet streams. Okay, so these like 5 degrees ka. Okay, so at these areas, due to these jet streams, they flows. Jet is nothing but jet as a high speed of flow. Okay, so these streams also flows very faster. Due to these jet streams, even the climate get fluctuated. Okay, so due to these jet streams, especially in India, why we are reading about jet streams means in India, 184 kilometers per hour the winds, jet streams are blowing in India, and whereas in winter months 110 km per hour. Please note this point, 184 kilometers per hour in winters. In summer 110 km per hour. They blows at upper atmospheric circles. Okay, and they are blowing at the elevation of higher areas in the air. Okay, so there jet streams were the important points to be noted. Just look at this image. Please look at this image, children. Yes. Yeah. Yes. The seasons in India. Let us have a short about seasons in India. Mostly summer, winter and monsoons. In the monsoons also there are two category of monsoons. One is onset of monsoon, other one is retreating monsoons. Okay, onset of monsoon and retreating monsoons. So this is about Indian states and all. These are the majorly important points to be noted here. Summer, March to May, winter, November to February, and monsoon from June to October. Okay, in this monsoon, June, July, August will be retreating monsoons, means heavy rains. And coming with the September and October, retreating monsoons, means the monsoons come back. Okay, what are they? We will discuss in detail about them. Yeah. Let us have a look. See, in summer months, what happens? I'll show it on the map. Yes. See, during the summer months, what happens? Especially in North India or these March, May, the temperature increases extensively, okay, exclusively, more even 40-45 degrees Celsius also temperature increases in India. Okay, due to the more heat, what happens? Low pressure is created, children. In this slide you can see here, low pressure is created when there is more excess heat is posed. See, when heat is posed on the air molecules, what happens? These air molecules will become lighter. Okay, they become lighter and expands to the upper airs. Okay, and make this place empty. So when there is no air, what happens? It becomes hot. We feel humid. Okay, so like that, this place becomes low pressure. So due to the excess heat in summer, what happens? This completely low pressure will be created. Low pressure will be created in India. Okay. During the months of March and May. Okay, due to this low pressure has been developed in the month of, more water gets evaporated from land, even from plants and even from water bodies, and different types of evaporation take place, and it creates low pressure. Okay, in summer months, and temperature rises rapidly in all the areas. Most of the places, especially Rajasthan, North India, plateau regions, except the coastal regions, the temperature will be hot in India in the summer months. Okay, whereas coming with after this, when low pressure is created, what happens? Okay, see, due to this, always you need to be note one point. When there is low pressure is created, wind blow from high pressure to low pressure. Wind doesn't exist. Either water or wind do not be in the higher lands as they move to the sloper areas. Okay, same like water, even wind also blow from high pressure to low pressure. Okay, so especially at these areas. In the previous class, I told you in northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere, if there is a winter, summer, I told you, vice versa. That means if northern hemisphere experiences summer, southern hemisphere experiences winter. Why? It's a vice versa. Like if it is winter, this hemisphere will be existing summer. So in this courses of what happens when there is a summer in India, then southern hemisphere, that is like Madagascar in Africa, near Africa, and if you take Australia, like this continents, they experiences winter. Okay, so due to this winter in the southern areas, due to the winter, what happens, where high pressure will be created. Okay, at the same time in India, low pressure has been created, especially this place Tibet, which is an most well-known plateau, Tibetan plateau, which is a highly elevated area, biggest plateau in the world. Okay, so this plateau of excess heat, due to more heat, completely North India will be created low pressure. So due to this low pressure, what happens, from this equator, actually in this image, you can see the winds has to blow towards like this, towards equator. But what happening here, our India exists over here like this. Okay, so as the winds has to travel like this, but in the month of June or beginning of the June month, due to the low pressure is created in India, in the Tibetan plateau, the winds are changing its direction. It is deflecting. They are getting deflected towards India and blowing in the country. You can see here you can see. So from the equator, due to the low pressure, the winds has to travel like in this direction. But due to the low pressure is created in these areas, in the month of June, these streams are getting deflected like this. Okay, so some are like getting deflected like this. So these are called as monsoons, southwest monsoons. They are flowing via Arabian Sea. Some are flowing via Bay of Bengal. So the winds which are blowing through Arabian Sea are receiving more rains in India. So southwest monsoons, we call this southwest monsoons, southeast monsoons. These are flowing from east direction, no, east monsoons, southeast monsoons. Okay, so these are called southwest monsoons. So these winds are mostly receiving in India. Then comparing, this is only for West Bengal and these places are received southeast monsoons. So there are two types of southwest monsoons. One is southwest and southeast monsoons. One is blowing from Arabian Sea, other one is from Bay of Bengal. So first rains occurs in the Kerala. The first showers in the month of June, we say that the first early rains we can see in the month of June in the Kerala, that's in the Western Ghats and further to the remaining parts of the India. And as they are coming to these places, what happens, as they were not traveling like that, due to the existing of Himalayas, these winds were not deviated to Central Asia. They were deflected towards North India like this. Understood? Yes? Okay. So they are deflected towards like this. Okay. By the month of August, June, July, we find completely whole India experiences monsoons. So this process is called onset of monsoon. Onset of monsoons or advanced monsoons. Okay. So this is June, July and August months, we see onset of monsoons. What happens once the winds traveling towards India by June, July, August, the clouds completely gets condensed and floods much water in the country, and by the month of October, what happens, the clouds get empty. Okay, the sky will become clear. So even the month of October, what happens, the rain comes, the sun raises falls directly. When there is no cloud in the sky, what happens, direct sun raises falls to on the earth's surface. Okay, so due to that reason, we find in the October months dry clouds will be, okay, due to the dry clouds, direct sun raises falls, especially in India, so we experiences as hottest summers in the month of October. October will be very hot as like summers, so we call it as a October heat. Okay, October heat is nothing but due to the empty clouds, the climate is influenced over there, and excess heat is absorbed by the land masses, and due to the October heat, what happens, again low pressure is created here, isn't it? Do you understand what I'm telling? So due to the, when low pressure is created, okay, when low pressure is created, again this winds retreat back. Okay, so when the winds are coming back, returning back, we call it as retreating monsoons. So this is a second stage of monsoons, retreating monsoons. Yes. Can I have a question? Anyone? Yes. Yeah. Any doubts in this? Advanced monsoons, retreating monsoons, and after this retreating monsoons, the winds are returning back. And one more important point to be noted here, this state, that is Tamil Nadu, do not receive rains in the month of, in the monsoon seasons, as the winds travel in these directions. No, these winds are traveling like this, so this place is not receiving any type of rainy clouds. Okay, so due to that, Chennai, that is they do not receive any rains in the monsoon months. Okay, but whereas a retreating time, when rains are returning back, in such time we find this place, that is Tamil Nadu, experiences rains in the month of winters. Okay, so which is the state in India experiences monsoons or experiences rainy season in the month of winters? Okay, so that to be noted here. Yeah, let us have a question here. Yeah, which is the wettest city in India? Can I get an answer? It's a very simple question. Yes. Yes. Which is the wettest city of India? Any answer? No? No? Okay. Previously, the place Cherrapunji was well known for, wettest city, but present now Mawsendram also it will be called as, and this is the wettest place in India. Why? Why Why? Because when the monsoon winds are traveling like this, I told you in my previous slides, even Brahmaputra River experiences heavy rains every year and it's over floods. Okay, and that this is a place, okay, in Assam, sorry, Meghalaya, this Mausanram was a place, wettest place which experiences more rains. And there is an important thing to be noted here. There is an ITCZ. ITCZ is an intertropical convergence zone. This zone exists on the globe at the equator, that is 5 degrees to 5 degrees down, 5 degrees north to 5 degrees, yes, in between these areas, due to the intensive heat created at the equator zones, due to that this zone is more heats up. Okay, and this zone during the months of monsoons, due to the heat created, due to heat absorbs, what happens, they get expands over like that. So from actually 5 degrees means for India, like in previous class I told you Indra point is 6 degrees, no, 5 degrees just below like that. Okay, actually this year it should be intertropical conveyance zone. So due to the heat produced at the low pressure, it will be expands like this. Okay, and intertropical conveyor zones increases like this due to this Ganga plains. At these Ganga plains, near the Ganga plains, up to Ganga plains, this intertropical convergence zone expands. Okay, so due to that, at these places low pressure will be created more, and it's attract the rainy clouds, and those places which are existing in the intertropical conveyance zone, those experiences more rains. That's why northern plains experiences more rains in India when comparing with the remaining parts of the country, due to they are lying, one of the factor is intertropical convergence zone, ITCZ. You may have a full form of this and where it was existing, and it is degrees of 5 to 5, and it was expanded to, as we have learned in previous class, that is 23.5 degrees. No, it has expanded towards these regions also. And there is another reason in India, there is El Nino and La Nino also. You need to be noted this point, even children. El Nino and La Nino, these are the major, due to the oceanic features, El Nino and La Nino. Due to this El Nino and La Nino also, the climate gets influences. Okay, so El Nino, most important thing, during the El Nino, what happens on the globe, due the ocean currents, it influences ocean currents, warm ocean currents and cold ocean currents. Ocean currents are of two types. I have shown you in the previous image. Yes, this one. Ocean currents are of two types. Okay, so warm ocean currents and cold ocean currents. So wherever the cold ocean currents moves to the warmer areas, water moves from warm to cooler areas. So in that process, what happens? In that process, what occurs means, at the Peruvian areas, okay, at this areas, Peruvians, you can see here. If you take an example, I'll show you here. Here I'll show you. Okay. Ocean currents from Peruvian to, like, it has to be flow like that, from warm to cold ocean currents. So at the Peruvian areas, from warm to cool, it has to be blow. Okay, so naturally warm to cool to warm, but whereas when this blows in the opposite directions, there is a one structures develops at the inner structure of the ocean areas and create disturbances, and due to that disturbances there will be a difference in atmospheric structure, and there was a slight you people need not to go in deeper like thermocline like which will increases. Okay, so due to that these air currents, also the monsoons, when the winds expands over these areas oceanic structure, the trade winds are getting influenced. Okay, especially trade winds are getting influenced. Due to the trade winds only, the winds which has to blows towards equator, they get deviated like this, no. So due to that internal pressures, internal currents of ocean. Okay, so due to this El Nino also, if there is a season which is unseasoned, like we get during the El Nino time, we get more excess rains, or else sometimes 3 years, 4 years even there will be no rains. Okay, like that conditions will be developed during this El Nino and La Nino. La Nino is a normal situation, but El Nino year season means, that means they may get excess rains. Okay, due to El Ninos. When there was a meteorology people says that there was an impact of El Nino, means we may experience that excess rains. In few places it may receives influences excess rains. In few places we may experiences that people may experiences low rains or even no rains, not only for a single year month. We can go out with 2-3 years also. It may carry out to 2-3 months years even. Okay, I think this session have helped you all for the NTSE, and please focus on the NTSE revision. Social science consists more number of questions and more weightage. Please concentrate and get a secure NTSE seat. I hope you all, this session will help you. Climate and drainage, have a good information. Work it out on the objective bits, solve out, and all the best for your NTSE. Thank you. Any questions? I can answer you all. If you need any questions, any question from these topics, climate or drainage. Yes. Yeah. Shall I ask a question for you all? Yes. ITCZ full form? Intertropical Convergence Zone. Yeah. Which state experiences low rainfall in India? Which state experiences least rainfall, recorded least rainfall? Which place? Leh in Jammu and Kashmir, which receives least rainfall. We call it as a cold desert also. Yes. In Ladakh district, sorry, Ladakh Union Territory. I hope. Yes. Okay. Yes. Can I have a question from you all? Yes. Any question? Your doubts? Okay. Yes. Questions? Any questions? What